I didn't grab your sugar-free Red Bull.
For some reason, whenever I smoke weed, I wanna cut my fucking hair.
I have been to Montreal.
Boom.
That was good.
All right, we should jam sometime. Caleb, Craig, and guitar aficionado Jonathan Gould.
It's not
Buddy.
Jonathan.
Is it John?
What's up?
Is it Jonathan or is it just John?
It's just John, and that's one of the
Caleb.
things. See, that's one of the things, Caleb. I'm just gonna let you
Caleb,
know right
you
now.
fucked up. You didn't
Dude,
do your research
that's okay.
on our guest.
No, that's okay. Well,
It irks me.
well, in what world? Okay, well, John, I'm on your Instagram right now because that's just what I do.
Of course.
I'm a seasoned.
He's our
podcast,
resident Jamie
host
here on this podcast.
now, and you should definitely put that. Okay, actually, two things are wrong with your Instagram bio right now.
Oh no.
You should definitely have. It's just John.
Okay, yeah.
And
for
also,
sure.
you haven't even updated the fucking band that you're in. You haven't even updated the newest single that
you don't have
out.
your own band on your Instagram bio?
No, he
Yeah, I do.
does.
Do
He
I
does.
not?
He does. So it says guitarist for Sneaker Club, right?
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
it says check out song for Tom now, and then the link
guilty.
goes to song
that
for Tom,
I actually
Guilty.
noticed
Which is
that a few
not-
days ago.
which is not the most recent.
and
Sneaker
nobody
Club
let me
song.
know.
John.
Some friends I
John,
have.
that's such a
it's
Jonathan
our,
move, right
It's
there.
our responsibility to let you update your Instagram bio, huh?
Dude,
It's
you,
the fans
You
that
post
need to
like
tell
every
you.
couple days. You should be on that.
I really
man.
should be on that,
Jeez.
man. That's
Come on,
guilty as
man.
charged, dude. Guilty as charged.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we'll stop busting your balls about it then. So let's.
Yeah,
let's,
that was
let's-
also
you know
just
what?
me.
We'll let you.
I was
since,
overcorrecting for fucking up your
Yeah.
name.
yeah,
for sure.
Since,
Dude, I
since
didn't
you
know that.
haven't, since
I-
you clearly haven't plugged your own single on your Instagram, what is the newest
Yeah.
release?
The
for
newest
Sneaker Club?
release from Sneaker Club. It's titled "Where We Land," and
Okay.
Nice.
it's a great
Go check it
track.
I didn't know that at all because I saw on your Instagram that the newest song is Song for Tom. So I didn't know that at all. Thank you,
know-
for enlightening me.
Also,
No
to
problem.
be fair to me, I didn't know that people were just called John. I
Really?
didn't know that was the
What?
thing. I didn't
What?
know that like on your birth certificate it would have just said John.
That's like saying you didn't know that people were just named Caleb. It's like there has
No.
to be
no,
like
no,
there-
no, no,
like
no,
every
it's not.
name is
No,
just
it's not.
shortened?
No.
No, it's not because John is generally a short form for Jonathan.
Not when it
Yeah.
has an H in there.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's true.
That's like, dude,
ooh.
I had a
That's
person
true.
come up
Actually,
to
I
me
don't
once and
know.
they were like, "Is your name Craig or like Craigery?" And I was like, "How many fucking Craigerys have you ever met? Are you fucking high?"
That's stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Dude.
Or like I
Craiger's
got
not-
I got a Craigison once. Craigison.
Well, I call you Craigery just because I'm trying to be funny.
Craigery's, yeah, it's a joke, right? But like you don't actually think my name's Craigery.
No.
Like, I've had
Okay,
like,
I have a
drunk
question.
girls at
Well,
the bar, and
well,
they're
like,
they're
not
like,
now,
"Oh,
I
is your
don't."
name Craigery?" And I'm like, "What do you fucking think? Like, are you
I have a-
seriously?"
To be fair,
Okay, I
they
have a
were
question
drunk.
then. My brother's name is Zach, or he goes by Zach.
Absolutely.
Now, would
yeah.
you assume that it's Zachary?
No.
Or would you assume that it's
No
just
one
Zach?
named Zach is just named Zach.
Yeah, I would. I
That's
would.
where I'm coming from
Yeah.
with the
that-
John thing.
Yeah, but John, I with the H, I think that's the difference maker. Because
Okay, well,
if you look at the word Jonathan and there's an H there, you know those words that look like they're wrong?
Yeah.
yes.
It's like that's one of them. Like if it's Jonathan, it's just Jon. Then your name's John.
Jon, yeah. And when I
Jon.
see someone that says my name's John and it's just Jon, I'm like, no, your name's not John, dude. Your name's Jonathan for
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know about this, but okay.
yeah.
We'll maybe move on to a more interesting conversation.
sure. Hot topic, yeah.
Hot topic.
We'll
My name.
continue on. We'll continue
Anyway,
forward.
Most basic
Fucking-
name on the
dude.
planet.
So you're home in Barrie right now, then? Eh?
Barrie, Ontario. That's where I am.
Nice,
my-
dude.
my bedroom.
Dude, my uncle lives there. Do you know him? Do you know my uncle?
I,
He fucking lives in Barrie.
you know, it's a small town, but no, I don't.
Honestly, dude, he actually, my uncle actually rips a guitar. He's like pretty much the reason that I do music.
Okay.
So like you guys should totally jam.
What's his
man.
name?
You want me to hook that jam up?
Dude, down.
He doesn't even play in a
absolutely.
band or anything. Yeah. Dude, he fucking crushes it, man. He's got this fucking he has this Andy Summers Telecaster, and it's
Ooh.
fucking dope. It has a single coil and a humbucker in it, and it's
Buddy.
fucking.
I'm in.
It rips, man.
Humbucker
It
in the
rips.
neck, like neck
Yeah.
pickup humbucker.
Yeah, I think so.
Bridge.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
that's
that's
the
the
way to
Keith
go.
Richards,
you
man.
want that. You want the classic Telecaster bridge pickup.
That's the Keith
I'm
Richards.
a sucker for the lipstick in the neck, though. I can't go.
I'm not. I'm not a big fan, honestly.
Really,
I think every
I'm not
telly,
huge on the sound. I think that it's the staple look for the Telecaster. though.
every telly should have a Gibson humbucker in the neck. Every single one.
That's
Keith
a hot
Richards,
take.
man. Keith Richards.
Yeah, I know Keith Richards.
Or
You
two
know, I heard of him.
humbuckers. Two humbuckers.
But I think
and
I've got
it's
him
a,
back here. There
a
he
Jeff
is, right
Beck.
there. There's Keith Richards chilling right there. But you know what I don't see? Fucking humbucker Telecaster in his hands.
Well, that's.
He's got some regular ones. He's got that butterscotch one.
I'm
that's
sure he's
the-
got a
the
few.
lipstick.
I do. Yeah, it has to be butterscotch too. That's the telly color for
Yeah,
me.
that's the look. I've been building a Telecaster recently, and it's downstairs.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'd put it on the camera.
Okay.
But it's like the classic Bob Dylan black Telecaster with the maple neck.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's looking pretty. It's
Nice.
looking pretty good so far. I'm
Nice.
working on it.
My buddy, he's the one that actually told me about music industry arts. His name's Logan Schmidt. So I met him playing in a cover band in Barrie, and he just built a telly using wood from his property, like from his backyard. And so it's this
Okay.
like sick like ash body, and it's I guess it's butterscotch. It's more like translucent, or not translucent. Yeah, translucent. That's the word, right? When you can see through the finish.
Mm.
But it's like it's just
yeah.
like a wood finish, nice grain and everything, and it's a
Yeah,
beauty.
I'm
like,
a
beast of
sucker for
guitar.
the natural finish.
Yeah, that's really cool. Very
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Right on.
Caleb,
Fuck yeah.
what's your taste for guitars? What's your ideal
Dude,
paint
you
job?
know, I've been recently thinking about this. I'm glad we're talking to John tonight because I've just recently started playing guitar again, like more seriously.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm thinking
Yeah.
I need to buy a new guitar.
Okay.
Because I've had my acoustic and my electric that I've had for like 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've never bought new
Yeah.
shit.
Kind of like your
And
starter.
so like my electric,
guitar, right?
yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean the amp that I have, which I like can't even fucking use here, like I haven't, that again is like 10 years old and it's
Oh,
fucking
okay.
like broken.
Well,
so
that-
I
man,
have,
I gotta say
yeah.
though, like right now, it's never been a better time to be a guitar player because cheap guitars
That's
are
true.
good.
Oh, for
You
sure.
can just sit at home and just fucking
Yeah.
play until your fingers hurt,
Well, like
like I did last
absolutely.
night.
inexpensive, affordable gear is good. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh, for
really
sure.
good. I had a Squire Classic Vibe Telly, that was butterscotch, and I bought that guitar. It was like the first like big purchase I made when I got my first job in high school, and it was like brand new. I think it was like $500. Like it wasn't that expensive, but
Yeah.
Right.
I played that guitar in bars and I played it for years. Like I only recently sold it because I just ended up not playing it. I had a couple other guitars, but for the money, I mean, you can't beat it. And I would still like if
Yeah.
I was looking for, I bought it because I'd never owned a telly before and I wanted to like see what it was like. And so for a first, you know, I was looking at getting a Jazzmaster.
Ew.
Yeah, well, they're kind of cool. Like, if I was gonna get one, I would get like a classic vibe because I wouldn't want to like drop a whole bunch of money on one. I think they're confusing.
Well,
But-
I have a lot of beefs with the Jazzmaster. I'm gonna spill the tea. on
I think
my-
it looks
my
kind of
beef.
cool, but
Well, it looks cool, but so yeah, the pickup switches are a mess. The bridges are bad. They're just bad.
the bridges are bad. Yeah,
And the
Yeah.
vibrato, like the fucking tremolo on it, is just so garbage. Like it doesn't work.
no, it goes out of tune. Well, I mean,
It goes out, and also it's like it's fucking in the body almost. Like it's not.
see now I figured out the switching on the Jazzmaster. So
Yeah.
you know that weird little tiny black switch that it has.
Yeah.
Like the one that confuses everybody. If it's in the up position, it's off, which means that you just use
like
the
a kill
normal
switch.
volume. No. You just use the normal volume and tone and the three-way like it's any like telly or anything with a 3-way and a volume. But when it's switched down,
It's already too much for me, by the way.
when it's switched down, it adds because in the 50s, that like jazz was a big thing. The Jazz Master, that's why it's called that. So when the switch is down, it's basically like a high-end roll-off, and it just makes it sound like a jazz guitar,
You mean like
clean.
a fucking rhythm pickup?
Yeah, but like with the tone,
the one thing you could just switch on that's already there.
Yeah. But it's one switch, and it rolls the tone all the way off. So it's really like
Yeah, but
muffly and
I've
jazz
got a
sounding.
fucking tone knob. It's just, I don't know. I think it's too much. It's like overcomplicating
It is.
I think the body is the cool part.
I think they
and,
look.
like,
Yeah, I think
usually
they're cool
usually they
looking.
have the big headstock too, right? That's
Yeah.
I like the big headstock too. But like the pickup configuration, it's just two humbuckers, and you've just got more switches to deal with. Like buy a Les Paul.
I only like the big headstock on Fenders when it's reversed, like Jimi Hendrix. I feel like that's the only way I'd
That's
play
fair.
one.
That's pretty fair.
Jimi Hendrix is the only guy that looks cool with a big headstock.
That is a hot take because I don't believe that. I don't think that's true.
Well, name another guy. That
Richie
played with one.
Blackmore. Richie Blackmore.
Didn't look as cool as Jimi Hendrix, though. Not even close.
Oh, fuck off. Well, yeah, he's pretty dorky looking.
Yeah,
He's got
he
that
is.
mustache, though. He's got the mustache, and that's iconic.
I mean,
But he has the big
yeah.
headstock, and he looks cool. Actually, I was
That's
gonna,
true.
because I was gonna say this conversation is very "It Might Get Loud," which is gonna be my video recommendation for the day. This is a very
okay.
premature
I've seen that.
video recommendation.
It's one of my favorite
but
movies,
but
actually.
I think the Edge is a very uncool guitar player. But the big
I think
the
he
big
looks-
headstock.
The funniest
He
thing
looks
is I think
really
he looks
lame.
cooler now than he did when
He
was
looks way
in his
cooler now
prime.
than when he had that really awkward, like feathered long
haircut?
hair.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
fucking.
terrible.
He's like that one guy that I would call haircut every time I saw him.
yeah, like
Be like,
Joshua
what's
Tree.
going on?
era.
What's going on, haircut? But fucking,
You would
he's
call him
like
haircut.
he's
That's
another
funny.
guy that I think looks way cooler when he's playing a big headstock Strat. I think.
Yeah. Okay. That's
but
fair.
so funny story is you like that reversed big headstock on
Yes.
the Jimmy Strats. I owned a big headstock Jimmy Strat with a reverse neck on it,
No.
and Danny from Three Step Snake now owns that Strat.
Oh, that was the whole.
Nice.
That was how
That's
you got the
my-
Ricky.
That's how I got my Rickenbacker. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
As
That
I
is, by
traded
the way,
that-
the coolest bass ever. Is
Yeah,
the
I
Ricky.
know it is.
It looks
I know
so
it
cool.
is.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's a very.
You know what the
cool
most
bass.
annoying thing in the world is having like being at a show where like Craig's just played bass, and then you're just hanging out after he's on stage, and then just having people interrupt your conversation with him and being like, "Hey, dude, that's a really nice rick you got there. How long have you had that?" Which has happened to me so many
it's like
times.
It happens every show.
It's like whenever
Without
Craig's
fail.
playing a show, every bass player in London is there to look at his
They
Ricky
flock.
Walker.
Oh,
Yeah, they flock to me. And you know what the
Hey,
funny
man,
part is?
is it for
I'm
sale?
like
Like, how
not
much
even
do
a
you
good
want?
bass player. I'm like the least talented bassist in London. I'm
Oh,
a guitar
fuck
player
off.
first.
Yeah,
I'm a guitar player first. I'm a guitar player first, right? So then when these people that play bass come up and they're like their finger style, they know fucking major scales, which I don't. You know, it's like they'll come up and they'll just be like, "You have like the nicest bass," and I'm like, "Yeah, but like you should be playing it." You know, like,
Yeah.
realistically,
it's yours.
because they're like,
Here you go.
"Oh, I play a P bass," and I'm like, "Oh man, I really want a P bass." They're like, "Fuck off, you own a Rickenbacker," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I had to sell my soul to buy that fucking bass."
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. It's proof that if you just look the part, you know, you'll get through life.
I have a Gibson
Yeah.
Les Paul
You know.
that I'm very
yeah.
I'm very lucky to own that.
Yeah,
That's-
so Les
that's
Paul's
my-
another
Well,
compliment getter.
That's my
See, I have
favorite guitar ever.
my I have a Epiphone Les Paul, and I fucking
And man,
don't
those are
like it.
great. They're actually like for the money, they're great guitars.
Well, also, I don't know how to I don't know anything about upkeep on guitar, and like I can't keep the thing in tune, and
Oh,
like it
okay.
doesn't sound very good.
That's the
in like a
tuners,
lower
man.
tuning.
That's the tuners.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm
well,
gonna start doing
and
some research because I've decided I'm gonna buy a new guitar.
I find the
I just don't know what I want.
I find the
Buy a
nuts on
telly.
those guitars aren't very cut. Like that, they're not cut very nicely from the factory, and that causes a lot of tuning problems because they come with like
Right.
Grover
Yeah,
tuners.
it's
on
the
it,
neck.
which are
It's
good.
the neck. The body, you can fucking have a 2x4 as a body. I don't give a shit. It's the neck is the
For
key
sure.
determining factor. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Caleb, buy a Telecaster. It's the best overall
Yeah.
sound. Actually, so hang on. I meant to say this on a previous podcast. So you're a huge Kiss fan, as am I. And Ace
Yeah,
Frehley recently,
sure.
because I'm building a Telecaster right now, and I had a friend of mine, Drew, who was recording downstairs earlier today. He was saying, "Why are you building a Telecaster? You're like, I love SGs. That's like my favorite guitar."
Oh man,
And
I
he
love
was like, "Why are you
SGs.
building it? Why are you building a Telecaster? You know, like doesn't seem
'Cause
like
it's
your
easy.
kind of thing." Well, because it's the most versatile instrument, right? Like Jimmy Page
was
and
the
Ace
first.
Frehley on every is the first electric guitar, yeah.
The
But
first solid
when-
body
when-
electric guitar.
Yeah, but when Ace Frehley and Jimmy Page went in the studio, every time they would use a Telecaster.
Tellies, man.
So Ace Frehley, who everyone thinks he's a Les Paul guy,
There's
he's,
no
he
Les
actually
Paul.
is using Telecasters.
Yeah, there's no Les Paul at all on the first Zeppelin album, at
Yeah.
all.
Or on Kiss albums. Apparently, he was using a Telecaster.
You can
whole
tell
time.
it's bright, like bright, and it pokes
But
out.
it sounds like a Les Paul to me.
It's-
That's the thing is you can make a
they're-
Telecaster sound like a Les Paul.
They're
You
fat
can't make a
sounding
Les
guitars
Paul.
for sure.
You can't make a Les Paul sound like a Telecaster.
No, Les Paul. Man, I love Les Pauls. That's why, like,
Well, they're the best live.
really, like, yeah, like I own a Les Paul because every one I love played a Les Paul. You know what I mean? Jimmy Page is my favorite.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it was just the guitar I always wanted. And I would go to stores and play them, and none of them ever felt right. Like it always, like, I don't know, the body shape wasn't comfortable for me. But for
Right.
some reason, man, this one is just unbelievable. I've
Yeah.
never picked up another Les
Mine.
Paul that connected with me as much as this one did.
Well, yeah. So I was gonna say, I'm sure everyone has this story. Do you have like your music store, love at first sight story?
I remember. So I think there's if you creep my Facebook very deep, like this is like, I think I was like in grade, I don't know, like 8 or something. I went to my local music store, and they had actually the first one I really fell in love with was an Epiphone Les Paul, believe it or not. And yeah, I loved that guitar, and I always wanted to buy one. And then all the other ones I tried after that were never as good. And even Gibsons, like I would play like $3,000 Les Paul standards, and they were never like, I was like, oh man, I want to love this guitar, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, years went by, whatever. I started working a job. I think this was kind of in between. I guess it was in between first year and second year. So the summer in between there, I started working a job. I was making good money, and I was like, okay, I want to find my Gibson Les Paul. So I looked all around, went to stores, tried a few on Kijiji, and like they were just never what I wanted until this one, man. I don't know why, but I think the guy lived in like Orangeville or something. So I drove down there. I had the cash.
You made a trek to get
I made
this
a trek. And I brought my amp, and I had it set up in his like garage or whatever, and I played this guitar, and I haven't changed anything to it except I put like an aged pickup cover on the neck pickup because I love Jimmy Page, and that's just what his looks
Nice.
like. I think it looks cool. But it has Seymour Duncan Slash pickups in it. Another one of my favorite players.
Oh man.
And
yeah.
I always loved his neck pickup sound because it was brighter and it sounded more like a single coil than a humbucker. So
Right.
I immediately loved this guitar. Like, but it was the feel of it. I don't know what it was. It's not chambered at all, but it doesn't weigh 15 pounds. Like it weighs like, I think it's like 8.5. So it's right in the sweet spot. And the color, like it's this like tobacco sunburst that I just didn't see around, and it looks like Dwayne Allman's Les Paul.
Oh hell yeah.
No pick guard, which I love. Les Paul shouldn't have pick guards. It's another hot topic.
I believe that as well, for sure.
Unless you're Jimmy Page, because Jimmy Page just looks cool with a pick guard on it.
Yeah,
I've even
true,
thought
true,
about
true.
putting a pick guard on it, and then I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't drill holes.
If it
in
has
this.
one on it, I won't take it off because it's got that stupid drill hole in it.
Yeah, I'd still take it off probably, but but I don't know. Something about this guitar, man. It's unreal. And I remember when I brought it, I was so excited because I got it during the summertime, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna show up to MIA and be playing it in front of my professors are gonna see my Les Paul.
Yeah.
It was but yeah, man. I just now it's getting beat up. You know, I've gigged it a few, and I love it. I'll never get rid of it.
Hell yeah.
It's got the brown case. You know, the really nice brown Gibson cases.
Oh yeah.
With the
classic
like the
Gibson
pink
case.
inside. Ugh, because everything's better with pink on the inside. It's great.
Jeez. Hot take.
Hot take.
Okay, so
I'm just gonna
I'm
turn
gonna
on
cut-
this lamp if you don't mind, because it's getting dark.
Oh,
in
for
my
sure.
room.
Hang on. So I'm gonna say we gotta cut for a quick sec. I gotta piss so bad. This is gonna be edited out real
For
quick.
sure.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, fine.
Keep your video and your audio going. We're
Okay.
gonna just we'll just chop this whole
yeah.
bit out. We'll do it. We'll
It'll
do
be
another. We'll do
easy,
another
but-
clap.
Cool, man.
Just give me 1 sec.
Okay.
So sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Go pee. Jeez,
But on
you're
the
supposed
seventh
to pee
day-
before the recording, Craig.
God said, "Let
Yeah.
there be light."
Yeah. Oh my God, what's there to do in Barrie, John?
Dude, fucking, you're looking at it.
Yeah, because like I've only ever like hung out with my uncle or whatever there, and like you know,
I mean, it's
we'll-
nice to
we'll
come
hang out at
back.
his place.
I like to come back and like visit my
Yeah.
family and hang out with my buddies, but
Yeah.
I can't even I
Yeah.
can't even do that right now. So it's like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm literally just
the
at
only
home.
redeeming quality. I'm not allowed.
Yeah, like realistically, the only reason I'm home is because I'm
Okay.
getting
Sorry about that.
I'm getting pogey, and my mom.
Right.
I don't have to buy groceries. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can fucking get government money and save it. You know,
Yeah.
to fucking spend it on groceries. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. So-
Okay. Sorry everybody. We're back. John has better lighting and I have an empty bladder. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going with the love at first sight at the guitar store stories. And Caleb, I'm sure you have one too, don't you?
So I don't really have like a guitar store story, but it's funny how this keeps coming back up, sort of. So my uncle that we talked about at the start of the podcast, who also lives in Barrie, is like pretty much like I don't come from this very musical family. My mom's mom is somehow just like the most unreal singer like ever.
Oh, cool.
Like she could like be Patsy Cline or like Loretta Lynn. Like
Oh,
it's
that's
not even
wicked.
fucking.
Yeah.
I'm not even just saying that. Like she's literally that good.
Yeah.
And then so my uncle, so like my mom's brother, is also like a really great guitar player, and like played in bands and stuff. And so like pretty much everything, like including my like Kiss obsession, started with him.
Dude, I love
and me
Kiss,
just
man.
being.
That was like one of the
like, a
first
child.
I'm
bands.
glad that we have 3
Yeah,
Kiss
man.
fans on this time.
Yeah.
Everybody
Well, so,
talks
like,
shit about
I mean,
Kiss.
Well, so this is like the thing is like I'm a child, right?
Mhm.
And I go into like my uncle's house, who I already think is like the shit, and he had this, and like at the time like he was pretty much just like a bachelor, right? So he literally had a room that I called the Kiss room.
Oh yeah.
Because it was just like wall to wall, Kiss merch and shit. And,
Oh, no
like,
way. He was one of those
posters and,
guys,
like,
like a Hall
cool.
of Fame.
and like the cool, yeah, man. And like now it's morphed into like he's got even cooler shit from other bands. But
That
it was
is
like
so
mainly
sick.
Kiss stuff.
Sick.
And he had like, you know, like records on records and fucking, and he had a wall that had a Les Paul, like the Les Paul, like Sunburst,
Yeah.
fucking there, and then he had a Les Paul gold top in the middle,
Oh,
and then he had another,
come
and then he had
on.
another Les Paul, just natural finish.
Talk
and
dirty
then he
to me,
also-
Caleb.
And then he also had a Rickenbacker as well.
Oh,
like
yeah, of course he
Rick
did.
bass. And then just fucking like Marshalls fucking everywhere.
Oh,
Oh,
So
okay.
I
So,
was
we
like,
need to
that's
get
epic.
Charlie in on this podcast then, huh?
I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. Like, this is so cool.
oh man.
And that was just like my whole music thing. Was I was like, Kiss is the greatest.
Yeah.
And then
I remember when I
and,
thought
like, Les
Kiss was
Pauls
the
are
greatest
fucking
band
amazing.
ever. I thought there's
I
nobody
remember
better
it
than
because
Kiss.
it was 2 minutes ago and still now.
Yeah.
This is the greatest band
Well,
of all time. The
but-
hottest
and the
band in the
other
world.
thing-
My theory is
When you
that
think
Kiss
about it,
is the
though-
best worst band.
That's true.
Like they're not
yeah.
great. They're not great.
Well, no,
you know what
it's
I mean?
Gene Simmons isn't
But they're
great. He's a
awesome.
bad man.
Well, like just
Well, the
as
problem is like they have so much music too, right? That it's like
oh
when
yeah,
you have like 25 albums, there's a lot of misses.
that's
in
true.
that,
That's it.
you know,
That is
whole
true.
thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Sure. Well, and they also had a bunch of lineup changes. Like you got to take a huge gamble
Yes.
on that.
Just
Yeah.
just
Like
buy
AC,
it.
AC/DC had a great time with it,
Yeah.
right? Like, well, sorry, not a great. Not Bon
I mean-
Scott dying wasn't a great time.
No.
But it's more, I mourned that death fucking 40 years after he died when I discovered that he had died. You know. But
Oh, I
I
know,
mean,
man.
some bands benefit from these lineup changes, and I mean, Kiss definitely suffered every time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
true. Just buy
For sure.
Destroyer
Yeah.
and buy double platinum, and you're good. That's all you need.
By the way, so
Yes.
real quick, I'm going to interject. If you go to Sebastian Bach's MTV Cribs, he's got the biggest Kiss Hall of Fame you'll ever see in your entire life.
No
you should
way.
look it
Yes,
up.
I've seen it.
As soon as you're done watching
I've
this
seen
video,
it.
you should look this
I
up.
I think I have seen
seen
that.
that.
I think I
Oh,
watched
dude, it's
that
crazy.
episode.
He's the biggest Kiss fan I've ever seen in my life. But anyway,
Oh,
sorry,
man.
Caleb, continue.
Well, and it's like Kiss is like the perfect when you're fucking 6.
Dude,
like,
they're
what's cooler than
superheroes.
that?
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
real.
mean?
They got
They're
face
totally
paint and-
They're
superheroes.
superheroes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like how, and it's fucking loud and it rips, and you're like, this is the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
so
want to
that was
rock and
kinda
roll
my
all night
thing
and
where-
party every day. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know what that means, but I definitely want to
I
partake.
definitely want to do that.
And yeah, man. So it's like that was definitely my thing. So like, I don't know if I was necessarily. It was definitely more my uncle. Like there wasn't really like a music store experience. I was just, I wanted to fuck. So, and the other thing too is like my very first guitar ever, my uncle bought, and then I got into like guitar lessons, and we were doing classical shit. So then I got a classical guitar, and then one Christmas my uncle unveils like again like the first electric guitar, like it's a fucking Strat ripoff.
Oh,
And it fucking
mine's
was
hanging on my
cool,
wall
you
right
know?
now. I literally have it.
Yeah, like, mine's in a closet somewhere. I haven't played that
Actually,
thing in
yeah,
like a decade.
mine is
but,
mine.
you
I
know.
put mine in the closet, but it's
I
the
sold
black
it ages
Strat.
ago. I remember it. I had it in my trunk of my car for like 2 years, and it was rubbed up against a skateboard, and
Oh.
apparently the grip tape and the back of the guitar were just rubbing against each other.
Oh man,
And
Nice.
and it looked like I had buckle rash the entire back of the guitar.
just by
Like
sitting
I
in the
had
back of
the
car.
world's biggest
How
belt
rock
buckle.
and roll is that?
It was pretty
It
cool,
got
but
relics
I sold it.
sitting
I
in your
sold
car.
it for. Yeah, I had a. That was my '88 Corolla, by the way. I'm gonna plug that because it's
Oh,
so
is that?
sick.
I
Nice.
saw that car on
My
Facebook
red
the other
car.
day.
If you pull it
That
up,
is
actually, you know what?
so
this is
cool.
this is my unnecessary video edit of the day. If you look right here,
Oh yeah.
this is
what
my
the
able
fuck?
Corolla,
I'm not gonna
that I
get a
used to
picture of a
drive.
car.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that
My
car
my
is
car.
sick.
and I at one point, so like I would be on the go all the time. This is when I was just about to move into my first apartment.
Yeah.
Or like when I had first moved into my first apartment. So I was on the go all the time, and I had like a guitar. I was delivering pizzas at this point. That's why. Because when you're delivering pizzas, you're waiting for another delivery.
That
so
is-
I would have my I
That
would
is
have a
the
guitar
pizza
in the
delivery
back.
car. Like
It
that,
was
that
definitely
really
a
is.
pizza delivery mobile. If you look at it, it's,
Like, I feel like I've
that's like
seen it in a
the
movie.
pizza delivery guy car. And I
is.
had a guitar, I had a skateboard, I had N64 games and shit. I had like a bunch. I had clothes that I was gonna like change into if I decided to go to someone's house mid job, you know.
Yeah.
And but then someone broke into my car at one point, and they
Oh,
stole my
no.
skateboard. My guitar wasn't in there, but they stole my skateboard and my N64 games. And I remember the joke the whole time was just like, well, at least it was a cool thief. You know, like they only
took
took
the
the
cool
N6.
stuff.
They didn't take my ownership or my insurance
Yeah.
slip. They didn't take
Yeah.
any of the change. They just took the N64 games and the skateboard. And I was like, you know what? If you're gonna
Yeah.
use it, sure.
So the guy was like a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. Which, by the way, fuck people that car hop. That's my one fuck you of the day. Fuck people
Yeah.
that car hop.
Dude, I had my
Thurman
Nissan
Circle,
got
man.
broken into. Well, I think I didn't have one issue living on Fleming, and I was
Really?
just every morning I was like, for sure my window's broken.
Well,
for sure
Evan
it is.
Carlson,
and it never was.
Evan Carlson, my roommate, at one point his locks on his Civic didn't work, so it would be unlocked. Like his car would get broken
Oh,
into
fuck.
every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
And
the
he
thing. is My
had,
car
like-
never got broken into.
He
It would always
hunts-
be like my girlfriend would leave a passenger side door open, or I would leave the car unlocked, and they would walk in. No one's breaking windows anymore.
And like he
They're
hunts,
just walking into the
Yeah.
car.
he hunts, and he has like like buck shots and shit in his car. Like it's like
Oh my god.
Yeah,
like-
you break.
like
Imagine that guy
shotgun
breaking
shells.
into the car and he opens it up and he sees a bunch of shotgun shells. He just goes, "Nope,
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done here. Yeah.
Dude.
I'm out."
I had my car broke. Well, again, I think I somehow left it unlocked. I'm so paranoid that I like always check and I
Oh,
like
yeah. You know how
manually
many
lock my
times the
car. I don't even,
horn, like, beeps?
Use the fob. Yeah. Well, and so I get to go to work the one day, and it's funny. Like I walk up to my car and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's like an old air freshener
On the
that's
floor, on
mine,
the ground.
outside. It was on the ground, and I'm like, I open my door, and just all of my glove box is just over like the passenger
Yeah.
seat and the floor.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like,
Why
oh,
do
what the
they? Why do they
fuck?
always assume that the shit's in the glove box? By the way, you think that I have
Okay.
the energy to reach across the car and put all of my valuable shit in there? It's in the center console, of course.
Yeah, like
Or the cup
Here's the
holder.
front. Well,
also
here's the thing, right? So
glove
I fucking
box. Why is it called that?
Because you would put your
Because they're the
driving
gloves.
gloves in there. That's why.
That's what.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm a
And
mechanic
then we never changed the
by
name.
trade, and I know that people used to be classy and they would wear gloves when they drove their cars, and they would have their gloves for their driving in their glove box.
Let's call it the insurance chest now. Let's change
That
it.
no,
Yeah,
what
the
that's
insurance, yeah.
called is
The
unnecessary
ownership
knowledge.
drugs.
That's what
Garbage.
that's called.
It's called.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fucking guy, he took an aux cord, and I think that was it, and some change. But so it was funny because I like had so many CDs in there, and I was like, oh man, thank God he didn't take my CDs of mainly local artists. and then, but then this made me angry. So I was kind of just like, man, this fucking sucks. But like, at least he didn't break the window or whatever. Like, I got to go buy a new aux cord, like whatever.
Right.
And actually, I had 2 aux cords in there, and he only took 1.
Oh man.
So
Probably took
so
the
then
nice one
later
though,
that
eh?
night, and here's like, I don't keep anything in my car. Like if you were to look in the windows, there's
Yeah.
there's nothing.
You're
to
like a
see.
Jeep
and
owner.
so yeah, that's what else was frustrating. And so I'm like, there was like a couple receipts in the cup holder and stuff. So that night, Julie and I like get back from whatever, and I'm like, let's just take all the garbage, like literally leave nothing in here. And I
Yeah.
pull up the receipts in the cup holder, and there's another $4 and change under this receipt. And then that made me more angry because I was like, this fucking guy didn't
They
even
didn't take the
everything.
change.
Like all they did, they took like, I think they took like $3 of other change and an aux cord, and just
Oh
made a
my
mess
God.
of my car. And I'm like, this fucking dick
Oh
didn't
my
even
God.
take all my
Dude,
money.
I've had a couple of those. So fucking when I had my Corolla broken into, every time that I've had my car broken into, it's been my car was unlocked and they walked in, right? And like every vehicle that I've ever owned has had this happen. It winds up happening.
Yeah.
So the Corolla was the first one I ever had happen, and I every time that I discover it, it's the same thing. I get up way too early in the morning to go to work, and I get in the car and I start the car up and I look over at my passenger seat, and all of a sudden my glove box is on the floor and everything is everywhere, right? That's how it
Yeah.
always goes.
Oh yeah.
And the Corolla I already told that story, but the van, so I have a blue Uplander, which is
Hey,
for
yeah,
sale,
yeah.
by the way, if you want to buy it.
Ooh.
Yep.
Might be
No
interesting.
big deal. But okay, cool. We're wheeling and dealing on this podcast, right?
You know what?
But
Nick,
well,
said,
at
Nick
least I
said that he
know-
might want to buy a car, so hit
At
him
least
up.
I
Yeah.
know a
All
mechanic
right, cool.
to call if I need it fixed, eh?
Yeah,
cool.
do that.
All right. Well, you know what? If you're watching this video, probably like fucking a couple weeks ahead of now. If you didn't, if these guys didn't buy my van yet, it's up for sale, boys.
I'm always selling.
But
shit.
anyway, so I get up way too early for work, get in my car, I look over at my glove box is broken on the van, right? It'll fall off if you lift the latch. So I'm like, oh, my glove box fell off again, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, like my insurance documents are like in the center console for some reason. What the fuck's going on? And then I realize, oh shit, someone got in my car last night. So I start looking around, and of course, so at this point, I'm really so I've got a Christmas Eve birthday. So I've like when I renew my IDs or my passport or whatever, it's like it's really difficult. You either have to do it way ahead of time or way after it's expired.
Yeah.
So I had my ownership insurance in there, of course, but my passport was in my car. And someone stole my passport out of my van.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh,
By the way,
bro.
if the CRA is watching, please turn off the video.
Please turn
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I reported it missing immediately. But it, of course, every time that I get up 2 minutes before I have to work, right? So I get in the car and I see all the shit, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna be late for work. So I drive to work, and for 5 hours at work, I'm worrying about it. And then I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take my lunch right at 12, and they're just like, okay, what's going on? I'm like, my passport got stolen out of my car, and they're like, whoa, that's like a big deal. And I'm like, okay, well, I fucking know that, but I'm trying to deal with this. I'm trying to deal with it, but yeah, like fucking, it sucks. It sucks even more when you go out to your car and you know that you just left it unlocked instead of them busting the window.
Yeah,
it's like,
feels
wow,
like it's your
I'm
fault.
stupid. Yeah, I'm stupid, and I
Yeah.
left it unlocked. Like, I don't live in the best end of town either, right? So it's like, of course, I've got to double check. Like, I remember one time with my old van, I walked inside for 5 minutes. It was right after a gig, and Jeff and Liam from Radio Caroline were in my house for a minute. And we were about to go to Jeff's house. We stopped in my house for like a sec to grab some booze or whatever. We were going out to the van, and the passenger door is wide open. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Jeff, did you leave the door open? He was like, no. And I'm like, did you leave it unlocked? He goes, well, yeah, we were going to be a second. And I was like, oh, no. And he was like, why? And I was like, let's see what's gone, and I had a camcorder stolen out of the van, which I recorded. I would record every practice and every concert that we did. By the way, if you have my camcorder, please just give me the SD card back. I really want those. I want those practice tapes back. I don't remember how Heads in the Sky goes. I don't remember how that song goes.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it goes. But if you have my
that's a
camcorder,
fucking
that's all I
clip
want.
right
But
there.
Jeff's backpack got stolen too. It didn't have anything in it except for maybe some weed. But sorry, Jeff. But I just want that. I want that SD card back, man.
We know what's more valuable.
You know what though? I would take having to clean my glove box up every single time I got in my car over coming out and seeing like the window smashed or the fucking car gone.
Well, yeah, because it's so much more of a headache. But it's just you feel shittier. You feel shittier
you
when
do feel shitty,
when it's like
'cause it's
such a
you.
feeling of defeat. It's like they just walked into the car.
Yeah.
But anyway,
dude,
I find
I
though,
forgot about this.
I find though if your car
Yeah,
gets
go ahead,
broken
John.
into with the door unlocked, they take less things from you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
yeah, they're like almost more courteous.
Well,
like,
because it's like
yeah,
they
you're
didn't
welcome.
have
I
to
didn't
work.
smash your window.
It was like they weren't looking for anything. They just walked up to the car because they saw it and they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I wonder if it's unlocked."
Yeah, like
You know what I mean?
anyone could have done that. A 6-year-old could have been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, maybe there's candy in there."
Well, not in your van, I hope.
Yeah. Well, like people are
In my
smashing
van.
windows for
There
if they
isn't
know
candy in
something's
my
there
van, by
about
the
it.
way.
Yeah. And now because of that guy that fucking opened my door, there's absolutely nothing in my car for you to take. I promise you. There's nothing in there for you.
Yeah,
to
I don't
get.
keep anything in my.
Like,
I definitely don't keep my passport in the car anymore. I'll say that. It took me like a year to admit to my parents that happened. They were like, because I was like applying for visas and shit for tour, which is not happening now. We're gonna keep it relevant for the quarantine. But I had to renew my passport, and they were like, "Why is your visa taking so long?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for them to get back to me." But meanwhile, I was trying to get my passport again.
Oh,
And then
man.
they were like, "Oh, how's the visa thing going?" I'm like, "Okay, well, everything's done now, and now that it's done, I had my passport stolen." And they were just like, "What?" And I was like, "It's all taken care of. Everything's done now. You can't even get mad." You know. But
I had my
they
wallet
got over it.
stolen. I had my wallet stolen that had my SIN card and my birth certificate.
oh, you're one of
in it.
those people.
And my birth certificate in it.
What the fuck are you
yeah.
doing?
Oh yeah,
John!
So this is what happened. My mom picked me up from work one day, working at Don's. Shout out Don's.
nice.
Shout out Dons. I miss you, Dons.
And then
Yeah.
I had to go. I think I had, I don't know, a hockey, like ball hockey or something after work. So I had to like go grab something to eat, but I didn't want McDonald's, obviously. So we go to Harvey's, the next best thing, right? And
I think there's a few better things.
There
than
is.
McDonald's.
There is. It was on the way. It was on the way. So I go and I'm like in my Don's uniform. Like I have to get changed. So I go to the bathroom. I take my wallet out and I sit it on top of like the stall or on top of the toilet or something. Or no, it was the where the
so it was
toilet
a
paper
coworker
dispenser.
then.
No, this was at Harvey's, like where I went after.
Oh shit.
So I took my wallet out, put it on top of like the toilet paper dispenser, and then I get changed and whatever. And then we order our food. We sit down, eat, and then we leave. Well, I didn't take my wallet from like it was sitting there, and it was completely my fault. Like, and
I
I'm
didn't
like,
collect
oh my
my
God.
wallet from the
Yeah,
bathroom.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then I figured it out like when we got home, and I live in the other end of town, and I'm like, oh fuck. So like we drive back, it's not there, of course.
Of course not.
And it's got
Yeah.
like literally all my information in it. Like I had nothing. I mean, I was only like a 16-year-old
my-
kid, but like that was everything I had. You know what I mean? Like
I
there was
can't
no.
believe your mother let
Yeah.
you have your birth certificate
know,
and your SIM
I know.
card in there.
I don't even know if she did, man. I think that was I had it because I think I had it when I went to apply for my SIN number when I started working. Like I was only like
What?
15,
Hang on.
16
so you
years
didn't
old.
You didn't have a SIN card until you started working?
Well, no, I had to get one so I could start working.
What the hell?
'Cause
I
I-
thought you got
Dude,
that
my
when you
mom
were like
just
born.
had that shit.
No.
Yeah.
No, I
Like
didn't
when you
have
come
one.
out, a nurse
Is
just
that not
fuck
right?
a guy in a
My
suit
mom
comes in and
had
hands
all that
you
shit
fucking-
as soon as I came out of the womb.
I didn't have one.
Yeah, so did mine.
Okay,
my
well,
mom still
shout out
has
Michelle
my birth
Gould
certificate.
for
I don't
not
think
doing
I've
that.
ever seen it.
Actually, I think
Yeah.
I have mine now. I had to fucking like give my mom my soul for to get my birth certificate.
Yeah.
My mom's definitely
I'm
gonna watch this
100%
and know
positive
she
my mom
screwed
has
up.
it.
Anyway,
Yeah, tell Mama Gould that it's all her fault.
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry, Mom.
You trusted me with my own birth certificate, you crazy
But it
woman.
was literally like it must have been like a week after I started working. You know what I mean? Like it was tough for me to get a
boy.
job, and so I guess I had to go through the process, get my SIN number, whatever, and I had a card. That was back when they gave you a card. Now it's on like a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like literally everything I had was stolen. I had like $20 in there. So realistically, they probably took my $20, threw my wallet
And
out,
your
'cause there was
identity.
nothing else. No, I don't even. I think it was probably just some dude went to the washroom, saw the wallet, found the $20, and threw the wallet out.
Yeah.
But
Well,
even
did
then,
you
it's
check
like,
the,
oh,
did
they
you
have
check
it.
the
It's not
garbage?
like.
What's that?
Did you check the garbage?
Oh yeah. I asked I asked the workers if they saw it in
I
there.
was
Like
gonna
I
say,
did
they
everything.
threw it out.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I guess it was just too late, but oh well. So when
I've
I,
lost my wallet a million times, and I get it back every time. I'm gonna knock on wood for that one.
That's the one
But,
time I'm gonna knock
I
on
lose my wallet all the
on
time.
IKEA fake wood for that one.
Yeah, I knocked on. I would assume this house is old enough that I have.
This is
real
probably
wood on
like
the wall.
laminated shit. You know, like I don't even know.
Oh my god, dude! I had buddies one time. I'm trying to remember why, like, we didn't have a car that they could have did this in, but we were hanging out in Thornbury, and it was funny because we started hanging out, and my buddy Jobin, who was just like the most fashionable dude of all time.
That's also not his real name, right?
No, his name's Jacob, but we call him Jobin.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we he's like, dude, I bought this new sweater today, and like blah blah blah. So anyway, we decide after hanging out, we're gonna go to like the one bar in Thornbury. But Jobin and Jed both have backpacks, and they're like, oh, what are we gonna do with our backpacks? And we're like, just fucking bring them in and like set them aside. And they're like, no, they won't let us. We gotta hide them. And we're like, well, don't do
We
that.
gotta
I'm
hide
like, it's
'em.
fine.
Yeah. Never.
So they go down to this bar is like right on the fucking like river. So they go down to the river and like hide their bags behind some bushes.
Oh,
And
my
then we go to the
Lord.
bar for like a
Oh,
while.
those
And then we go to leave and they're like, we got to go get our shit. And then of course, their bags are nowhere to be found because of course
no.
people stole
No.
them. And Jobin like literally was like, I just fucking bought this hoodie was like $100. I fucking just bought it today. And he fucking
yeah.
stuffs it in his backpack and then leaves the backpack.
Oh my
And like,
God.
yeah,
Oh,
everything was
no.
gone, man. They took all of their shit and we were like, yeah, man. I felt so sick for them because I know how I would have felt in that. And we spent a long time with with like our phone flashlights, looking all up and down this like riverbank and like under bushes and stuff. And it's just like, it's that feeling when you're like, I know it's gone, but we have to look for it.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
And
All right,
but I was
all
like, I
right.
could have told you guys.
I'm
like,
done.
2
I'm
hours
done hearing
before.
all these stories about people getting all their shit stolen.
Yeah, let's
it's
talk
making
about
me feel
something
sick.
positive.
Oh god. Okay.
Holy shit. It's
We're
not
gonna
cool.
do a
Don't
hard
steal,
topic
people.
change. Hard topic
Yeah.
change.
Right.
Let's do it.
So quarantine songwriting. How about that?
How
How's
about
that
that?
going for you,
Yeah.
John?
So I've always had trouble writing songs because I'm not really I'm probably it's probably because I haven't really tried, but lyric writing has always been pretty tough for me. I can come up with a hook really easily.
Yeah.
So when it comes for me, I usually start off with because I'm a guitar player, I start off with a catchy guitar riff or something like that, and I make a chorus melody around that, and then it kind of just goes from there. If I have a riff, I can almost play a whole song. Like,
Right.
I just know what chords to put with that.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's I have a couple I've been working on, but I've mostly just been trying to get better at guitar, just perfect my
Fuck off.
techniques.
Come on. You're like the best guitar player I know. And you're like, oh, I'm just trying to get better. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you to fuck off because I think everyone should be always
Yeah.
trying to get better.
I appreciate it.
Nick is the
but it's-
same way. Dude,
Oh,
it's
Nick's
that
unreal.
thought process as to why you guys are like that good. Because Nick's the same
Yeah.
way.
'Cause they're
Where
always
he's like,
trying
it's
to
like,
get
hey
better.
man,
Yeah.
what did you do today? And like Nick will say some crazy shit. Like he'll be like, I fucking learned this Protest the Hero guitar solo, and you're like, oh, like
Holy
cool.
shit.
And Hayden will be like, why? Why did you do that? And then Nick's like, I don't know, just cause.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Wanted to.
dude, today
He's like, I'll probably never play it again.
Yeah, I know.
And,
That's what I
he's, like,
mean.
So like he just works on technique and stuff, and you're like, I don't have the patience for that at all.
Oh, I know.
No.
Like when I started learning guitar, I only wanted to learn the songs. Like I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to be able to
The
play
theory.
along to my favorite
I
records.
thought it was song by song as well. I thought
Yeah.
it was like you got to
Yeah.
learn the song. I remember when I got my first guitar, of course, it came in the mail and it was completely out of
That's
tune.
awesome.
And
in the mail.
And my dad, I got it in the mail from China, which is
course.
topical now. And but I got this Windaroo resonator guitar, and I pulled it out of the box, and I said, "Dad, it's tuned to play When September Ends." Like I didn't get it. I didn't know that you had to like put your fingers down and shit. So I was just like, it was like
Yeah.
ba da 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 da, and I
Yeah.
was like, it's tuned to play Wake Me Up When September Ends.
How cool is that?
I didn't know. I had no idea. I thought that you tuned it so you could play the song. I had no idea.
In a way, you kind of do, but
Well,
for
sometimes,
certain songs,
yeah,
but
I feel like "Wake Me Up When September Ends" is not in any sort of elaborate tuning.
no, it's straight up 440, baby.
I still don't know how to play it, but that's okay.
But yeah, it was just like I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to learn how to play
Songs.
TNT by AC/DC. You know what I mean? Like,
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
This is why John.
Yeah.
Sorry, Caleb. John's my best friend now. All right.
Okay, well, fuck me.
okay,
All right. Well, this podcast is over.
Congratulations, John. You want to?
It's like,
You wanna host
okay,
a
we're just gonna.
podcast?
I guess we're
I
gonna
have
wrap it
man
up.
crushes on both of you. All right. Relax.
Oh man,
Gonna
I
be
remember.
fine.
God.
I remember I wanted to be friends with Craig so bad.
I know,
I
dude.
actually do.
Dude,
and
it's
it was
funny.
the same
It's
situation
funny how like
with Quinn. I
Yeah,
was like,
I just,
man,
like,
this
fell
guy
into
looks
it.
so cool.
It's like an enigma, huh?
Yeah.
It was the long hair and the beard. That's what
I
it
was
was.
like, well, this guy
Now,
looks like Robert
people don't give a
Plant. I
shit
want him to
about
be
me.
my friend.
People don't care about me
You know
now
what?
because I have short hair and no beard. They're just like, oh
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
makes a
Well, yeah.
podcast and he fucking
Yeah.
you know he
Well, you know what
talks
I
on a
think it is?
podcast.
Yeah.
Craig's like the main guy that's at like every show, and when like the mystique of like MIA runs out a little bit, and you start like doing stuff.
Yeah.
You're like you want to make other friends in the music industry, and Craig's just everywhere.
I'm at
It
every
is.
show.
I feel like if I was
I
friends
made
with
an
that
effort.
guy,
I
that
made
would
a-
be
I
next
made a-
level.
I made a valiant effort to be at every show from a very early point because I always
That's
believe
good,
that
man.
you know
Like-
if you go to every show, then a couple people from that show will eventually realize that you're in a band and they'll go see your show. That
true,
was
man.
that was my
It's-
and I would dude, you have
Yes.
no idea how many hardcore shows I went to. Do you know how many hardcore records I've listened to? I could probably count it on both hands and both feet. But I went
Yeah.
to every single
feet.
hardcore show. I went to every single hardcore show in London. I swear to God. And until like fucking maybe 2015, and then I was just like, okay.
Until
I'm
the
gonna go to
Fire
rock shows
Nation
now.
attacked.
Until I started working
Yeah.
for my money.
Yeah.
But man, I went to every fucking show I possibly could, because like that's how you fucking make music friends. That's how you establish yourself
Yeah.
as a local musician. Is you got to support local.
For sure, man.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and I think like, with being an MIA, you get that like you kind of get a built-in fan base if you're decent.
That's true.
And I think
Yeah.
like when you start getting people that aren't in MIA,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
being like you
Well,
guys, you
yeah,
guys are sick. Like
I've
that
said-
feels
I've-
awesome.
I've preached this gospel for years now. Is there's this weird invisible wall between like the London music scene and the MIA music scene, and it pisses me off
For sure.
because there's a lot of great bands in MIA, and there's a ton of great London bands generally, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
For sure.
somehow they just don't fuck with each other, and I feel like it's just one of those things where it's like, well, it's just college kids, they just want to party or whatever. It's like, no, dude, these guys
Yeah.
know what they're doing, and there's great bands, and I mean, it's just sometimes with the MIA crowd, I've learned that a lot of you guys are from not from London, so you don't know
Yeah.
about these bands that are here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for
That's the
sure.
thing.
That's what
For
I,
sure.
that's what I've been kind of happy about with my band, is that like we've been able to break down those barriers a little bit and make friends outside of MIA, especially in Toronto.
Yeah.
Like we've become good friends with a lot of Toronto-based bands, and I just think it's going to give us the edge. And I
For sure.
truthfully believe of course, like we practice, and I can definitely say we're a good band, but it's all about being
Yeah.
personable, man. You just need to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure.
Literally, you just need to talk to people. Like
Yeah.
That's-
That's what
that's
it is.
kind of what gives you the edge. And
Small talk, baby. You gotta
small
be good at
talk,
small
man.
talk.
You got to be good at small talk.
It's being
You got
interested.
to be able to say, yeah, man, fucking that's sick, man. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You gotta
For
get
sure,
a lot
bud.
of
like
you gotta get a lot of for sure's in there.
For sure, bud.
do
For
your
sure.
do your research before you play shows with bands too. Like that was the thing I would always say to the guys, like, because like Nick will get I'll bring up something about a band that we're playing with, and then he'd be like, oh, that's cool, like how do you know that, or like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, just when we're playing these shows, like
Look them up.
take fucking 10 minutes and,
Look 'em
and
up.
flick
Yeah.
through their Spotifys.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Like,
man.
get an
The-
idea of like what's going on.
The very first show I ever went to see at Call the Office was the result of that. My buddy was just like, hey, there's a show at Call the Office, which I had never been there. I don't think he had ever been there either. And it was he was like, you should look them up. They're called Barn Burner. And anyone that knows Barn Burner is freaking out right now, because they were the greatest fucking thrash metal band from, I'm pretty sure, Montreal.
I was gonna
that
say,
ever
I know that
existed.
name.
Dude, they're so sick. So it was like, yo, look up this band, we're going tonight. And I was like, okay. And I'm like 17. And I was like, okay, sure, let's go. And I looked it up, and it was like so sick. And I was so excited because I knew this single like fucking word for word. And we go to the show, and I'm gonna tell this story, and I don't care because it was fucking it was 8 years ago,
Oh, boy.
and they can't get
Oh,
in trouble
boy.
for this.
You can't stop
And-
Greg
and-
when he's
Oh,
already
boy.
started.
They can't get in
talking.
trouble. So
Yeah.
so we
Oh,
went to the
boy.
show, right? And there's a sign out front. I'm 17, my buddy's 17, or maybe 18, I don't know. And because I was the youngin' of the group, and there's a sign out front that said ID at the door, and I was like, okay, sure. So I'll have my ID ready. So I get up to the door guy, and I hand him my ID, and he gives me my ID back, puts a wristband on me. I go inside, and then I'm waiting in that classic spot where all the pinball machines were, and like at one
Yeah.
point the pool table was there, whatever, and all my buddies start coming in, and like two of them get in, and they just go, "How did you get a wristband?" And I was like, what do you mean? I gave him my ID. And he was just like, well, I've got X's on my hands. And I was like, I didn't get X's, you know? He was just like, well, did you give him a fake ID? And I was like, no, I gave him my ID. It says I'm 17 years old on it. So the guy must have either not looked at my ID or was just like, this 17-year-old's going to have the craziest time of his life right now. You know?
Yeah.
And then, dude, I bought so much beer that night, and I had a great time. It was the first time I was ever at this venue, and I saw Barnburner and Gallows. And I have the concert poster in my kitchen because it was the most legendary fucking show I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's awesome.
Wade from Alexis on Fire was doing vocals for Gallows.
No,
greatest show probably the best show I've ever been to in my entire life. And it was the first show I'd ever seen at Call the Office. And I pray that they continue to do shows once this quarantine is done.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure, man.
Yeah,
I had a great
that's
time playing at Call the Office. The one
I
time
love
we
that
did.
place.
It was
Yeah,
so
it's great.
fun.
I love
It's
it.
great.
It
Shout
sounded
out to
great.
It's definitely
Shiraz,
like-
by the way. Huge shout out to Shiraz, the sound guy at
Man.
Call the Office.
He's
I love that,
fantastic.
Call the
Motorhead,
Office
bruh.
is definitely like a venue where you're like, you definitely feel like the most a part of like a thing where when you play there.
Yeah.
You're part
Dude,
of like
fucking-
this
I mean,
London mystique almost.
Yeah, for sure. Because also like Rum Runners is fucking dope, and it feels like really real when you play at Rum Runners. But like playing Call the Office, it's that like dirty fucking thing that just has like all like the history in the walls and shit, and you're like, this
Everyone's
rock and
mom
roll, man.
used to party there.
That's exactly,
Yeah.
man. If you mention Call
when
the
you look
Office to
around,
anyone,
you're like-
they all know what it is.
Yeah, I would go up to like mom coworkers wherever I worked, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing a show at Call the Office. Like, oh, I used to go there all the time.
Oh, when
And I'm
I went
just
to
like,
Western,
I'm
I
like,
used to go
oh,
there.
you should come tonight. You know, like, why not?
no, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, tickets are $10. You know, I got them
Yeah,
on me.
yeah.
Funny enough, they're in my pocket.
Yeah, I'm selling tickets.
Yeah.
Call the Office. That's another thing I
Oh.
love about Call the Office is they're not like, here's a bunch of tickets you got to sell. It's like, no, we're cooler than that.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. It's weird now because they actually do have like tickets ahead, and I wasn't digging that.
Holy
Oh,
shit, they
they
do.
did. They did
started
start
doing
doing
that.
that. Because I bought one
They
for
did
your
start
show.
doing that.
I hate selling
thanks,
advance
man.
tickets so much. I really do.
Well, like,
Sorry
they
to
weren't
any
giving
promoters that see me
physicals.
say this, but I hate doing
They weren't
that.
giving physicals, but I think it might be like because Kyle Wappler is booking there
Right.
now, and
Oh,
I know
okay.
when he was. I mean, it wasn't a big deal for us because he books in Waterloo too. So when we play Waterloo shows with him, like we didn't have to really stress too much about selling tickets. But there's just
Right.
an event link. There's like an Eventbrite link, and I'm like, it's so annoying. And like the thing is like. It's $10 a head or $15 at the door, and it's like
I hate the double prices.
It's so hard
man.
to
It's like-
market. Yeah,
or like
I
when tickets
hate
are like
that.
$7. It's like $7.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Really?
that's like by the way, John and I are in a cover band together. Barely. Because of this
Barely.
quarantine.
Yeah, barely. We had one
Because of this
rehearsal.
quarantine. But we have a cover band together, and it's called Desmond Iguana's Yugoslavian Family Band. I decided that today. DIY family band. But John and I had a band practice that day, and then I went over to his place for some drinks after, which we killed. Like I talked about this in the first podcast. We killed 2 bottles of rye that
Dude,
night.
I had never been so hungover the next day.
I love it because
so
you played probably my favorite sneaker club gig of all time the next day.
You're right. I was so
it was great.
hungover.
You played a
It
gig
was
the next
bad.
day, and I went. I fucking beeline to Brian at that gig the next day, and I was just like, "How's John feeling?" And he went like, "He's been fine." And I was just like, "I bet he yacked. I bet he threw up." And he was just like,
I did.
He was like, "I don't know. He seems pretty fine." And then I went right
Yeah.
up to you. I was like, "How you feeling?" You go, "Oh man, I puked so much the next morning."
It
But
wasn't
anyway.
even like the next morning. It was like I was trying to fall asleep, and I knew I wasn't gonna fall asleep until I yacked.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I did.
But anyway.
But
So
Yeah.
we had a band practice. We had like a super fun jam, like fucking jam band shit
So
is like
fun,
the
man.
best. And I went over to your place, and it was just like, oh, you're playing a show tomorrow. Like, I'll buy a ticket. How much? Like, I have cash in my wallet or whatever. And you were like, oh, it's $7. And I was like, man, I've got like a 20 on me. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
And you were like, well, I've got like a toonie and a loony. And I'm like, oh.
yeah, because like
okay.
I had like no. Yeah, it was just.
Sure.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I guess I'll take change home. Fuck.
Yeah. It's the worst, man. It's
Fine,
the
John,
worst.
whatever. I'll come to your show. Maybe I'll just buy a ticket
Yeah,
and not
fucking
go.
whatever. Yeah,
Well,
whatever
like,
to
the
your
bitch of
fucking
it-
change.
Yeah.
The thing is like you want to sell the tickets, but then it's like you're not making it easy for me to sell these.
Yeah.
And then especially like in call the office terms when they're like just online, and you're like, who's fucking buying a ticket online to then
Yeah.
try to print it
Unless
off
it's
or
like
whatever?
Pup, like or the nil, and
Yeah.
you're afraid that the show's gonna sell out.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like don't just fucking or like just have it be at the door because it's like people will just come to the door and pay. Like that's not the problem. So don't like gouge
Yeah.
them an extra $5, which also now they're not gonna spend on fucking beer or whatever. Like just have the show be what the show costs. You
That's
know?
true.
I don't know.
I don't know how.
I'm not a promoter.
I don't know
though.
how I feel about it. Like at the same time, I've had shows where we sold a good amount of tickets beforehand, and it's been great.
Mhm.
But I've also had shows where like we don't sell any and we feel bad about it. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well,
I
the
don't know.
funny thing is like you don't want to like tell Edie that you sold fucking 15 tickets, but like we've sold either like a good amount of tickets or not that many, and every single time Edie goes, awesome, cool, thanks, man.
Yeah,
And it's-
yeah, for sure.
Like it's never
I think
it's
people-
never any different.
People worry about it. People worry about it a lot more than they need to. Like we're
Yeah,
strict
for
about
sure.
it. Like definitely, like we want to sell tickets because we want to,
Yeah.
we want to show that people are gonna come and it's gonna be a good time. But I think people just worry about it way too much. I worry about what he's gonna say. It's like, man, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
the nicest guys I've
Yes.
ever
And,
met.
like,
it's like,
Shout out
man,
Brandon.
what he-
Eady.
Shout out Brandon.
Yeah,
man.
Brandon,
What a nice guy.
You're a great dude. What a nice guy. Saving all of the dogs that you do.
Oh.
That's fucking awesome.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
that's
He's
for
a
real.
good follow. Just
That's
for
how
that.
we got our first show at Rum Runners. Did I ever tell you how we got our first show at Rum Runners?
No.
I think I've heard the story because
So,
Dan Wegg
Hang on.
is
So
quite the
we're
fucking
not
guy,
going to stop
but-
the podcast again because of my child's bladder. But you tell the story. I'll be able to hear it, and I'm going to go to the washroom. So you guys,
Okay.
everyone that's listening or
Yeah.
watching, enjoy John's story while I go pee.
Okay. So what happened was, we had Brandon Eady come in for a guest lecture,
Yeah.
and so everybody, of course, he explains who he is. He's like who he is in
Yeah.
the London music scene, and he's a big deal. And
Yeah.
then when it comes to the time to ask questions at the end and like go up and like meet him, of course everybody's going up to him and is like, it's like, oh man, like asking him all these like questions about getting gigs there, like how do you get gigs at Rum Runners? How does this work?
Yeah.
And like us four, we were all sitting together, like we all went up to him and we were like, hey, because he talked about how he works with animals and how he adopts them and takes care of them, and that's a
Right.
great thing that he does. We all love dogs.
Yeah,
So we
of
went up
course.
to him and we were like, hey man, like it's great to meet you. Like what's your dog's name? Like can I see a picture of it? Like we
Right.
just went up to him and like chatted with him about his dogs, and then he asked us, and it was like, hey, so are you guys in a band? And we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're in a band called Sneaker Club, and he's like, yeah, well, like send me your stuff, like maybe we can get you on a bill. And then he booked
Yeah.
us and put us on the show with Valley. We
Yeah.
opened for Valley
Yeah,
for
your
our
guys' first
first
show was-
Rum Runners show,
Yeah.
and now we're great friends with them. And Rob, the lead singer of Valley, is producing our EP.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
Fuck
he
yeah.
just and
That's the thing is like
that's what I mean. Like, and I think people, I don't know. Like, I think they seem to be afraid of him, and I don't know why. Like, he's such a nice guy. Like people always talk about, oh, like don't say this to him or don't say that. It's like, man, just be yourself. Honestly,
Well, yeah.
that's
so
that's
Yeah,
the
don't
thing
be
is,
an
like,
asshole.
just
I'm
be-
back on camera.
we
Be
heard you
yourself.
pissing. Yes, we heard you take
Yeah,
a leak.
Edie's funny because everyone seems to have that. Like in London, there's that kind of like you want to get on Edie's good side or whatever. Like he's almost like put
Yeah.
on a pedestal. But Edie's a regular guy, like all of us, man. He's
Yeah.
like
Just
he's a-
don't be an
if you-
asshole.
If you get to know him, he's a great dude, and he's a normal
Yeah.
dude. And my buddy, so my roommate Bob, he was in a band called Kingpin at the time, which is the greatest London band that ever existed. I'll say that right now. He was like trying to get a Rum Runners gig forever. This is when what was the fucking bar called? There was this bar that was also a record store in London, and I forget what the fuck it was called, and it's driving me crazy. But it was like a nightclub at night, and of course it was a nightclub at night because that's how nightclubs work.
It's a day club.
Yeah, day club. Day clubs would be way more fun. But he was trying to get a show, and I guess Bob was really drunk at what the fuck was it called? It's gonna drive me crazy. But he was at this bar, and Edie was there, and he went up really drunk to Edie, and I guess, and he went like, "Yo, Brandon, why don't you like my band?" and Edie's been like, "Your band is fine. You just haven't put anything new out. Like, why? What are you supporting?" You know, it's like that's a really good point. Like, fucking when people are stressing about playing shows or whatever, it's like, well, why do you need to play shows? Like, what's the big reason for you to play a show? And like, that's Edie doesn't want to just give you a show to play a show. He wants you to have a good ass show. He wants you to have a show where people give a shit that you're playing, and you have something to push, you know? Like, he's trying to make it the best for you. And when Radio Caroline scored our first Rum Runner show, we had just put out Take It All. And he just, like, tossed us on a bill. He was like, "Hey, do you guys want to play the show with Hiroshima Hearts, Lad Classic, and I forget what the other band was. It might have been Bodhi Jar, I think." And we were like, "Hell yeah, that's amazing." And, like, it was all from email or Facebook. And then I ran into him at Winks, and he just came up to me, right? And like, you would just see him at shows or whatever. That's how I always saw him. And he came right up to me at Winks, and he goes, "Hey, I'm really excited about the show on Friday at Rum Runners." And I was like, like, oh my God, he cares. He gives a shit, you know? And it's like, that's when you kind of realize, it's like, he's just a regular guy. Like, he's going to come up to you and be like, "Hey man, like, yeah, your band's great. Like, of course we're gonna put you on a show." You know, he's not. No one's out to get you in this scene. You know, we're all trying to work together.
I had this like frustrating moment because it wasn't Edie. It was like it was revolving around him. It was actually at a sneaker club show, and we were playing the Heart Attack Kids show the day after, and so I went out with fucking somebody to get just to get air, and then Edie came out to like smoke a cigarette or whatever, and him and I started talking about the heart. He was like, "You ready? You stoked for tomorrow?" And we're like, "Yeah." And we're like shooting the shit about this show, and I won't say who, but like other people came out that I'm friends with, and just like totally
just
butted in, and then wouldn't like shut the fuck up about nothing. And I was just like, cool,
man,
like that's fucking awesome. So I was just like, we were just having this like
I
cool conversation where like I didn't need anything or whatever, and like it was just a fun like talking about playing. And then I was like, awesome. And people just came in like, and I feel like that's a thing that happens with him a lot too, is people feel the need to like
people just come up and just
hijack the conversation,
garbage at him.
It's like, yeah,
they're like,
and
here's
like,
here's
dude,
what we've been doing. Please give a shit. And it's like,
no
one gives a shit, because all you're doing is just trying to plug your shit. Have a conversation with me. Like, that's what I'm trying to say here. Is, I mean,
dude,
like, whether it's Edie, whether it's the guy that books the Horseshoe Tavern, whether it's the guy that books fucking Yankee Stadium. It's like, I'm not trying to do this whole fucking PR thing with you when I'm at the bar hanging out with my wife.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to fucking chat with you. Let's talk about, like, fucking, he's a real person. He fucking has a life, and fucking, he has a bunch of dogs. Talk about dogs with him. The guy's gonna care. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit about your fucking Audacity recorded EP. No one cares.
And that's how you stand out too. Like, everybody's going up to him and being like, "I play in a band that fucking, you know, we have guitars in the band." Like, everybody does that, you know?
Yeah.
Go up and don't talk about music.
That is how,
and see what happens.
Being a regular person and going up and talking to him about his dogs, that is how we are where we are. Like,
well, for
that's
sure.
how we met.
Like,
Valley.
When you and I first met, it was like, "Hey man, you're a great guitar player. Fucking want to exchange hair care tips?" That's how our conversation started.
Yeah, dude. I know, man.
You know,
I
be
think,
real.
Absolutely.
Also, too, just a quick on the topic of like selling tickets and stuff. If if you're gonna ask people if they want to buy a ticket to your show,
hey, what are you doing
Yeah.
tomorrow night? What
yeah,
are you
just
doing?
yeah. I don't
like-
even
Yeah.
want that. Just say,
Not
hey, do you
going
want
to
to
your
buy a ticket
show.
to my show? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, do you
Yeah.
want to buy a
Say it,
ticket to my
man.
show? And if you don't know
Well-
me, like if you don't know someone that well, don't fucking message them.
Yes.
Just fucking make
Yes.
the post on Instagram or
'Cause they'll
fucking
see it.
Facebook or whatever.
They'll see
They'll
it.
see it. They will see it. And if they don't give a
Yeah.
shit, they're not going to interact with it. And if they didn't interact with it, don't message them.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
I found like
Fuck.
cool, like what I realized worked for that Heart Attack Kid show, because I was like, man, we need to sell more tickets. And then I actually saw John's Instagram story, and I was like, I have a funny idea. So I messaged John, and I said like, hey man, like what's up? It's been a while. And then I went like ... and I said, I do genuinely care about your well-being, but also the reason I'm messaging you is because I want to sell. And I did it, and then I like, and then I like
remember
copy
that.
pasted that to like every member of Sneaker Club, because
Dude,
I was
it
also like
was
the odds
so
are that
funny.
they're all like together right now. And then so
Yeah.
I sent it to
We
like
were.
Brian and Dan and Luke, and then like I think Dan was like started off laughing and was like, dude, like I know you just sent this thing to John, and I was like, I know you know that, and that's why I
Oh my
did it.
God, that's so
It was
And then
funny.
like, and
really
now that's
funny.
fun, because now Dan will message me like these like fucking long-winded stories about like when Sneaker Club's playing shows to sell me a ticket, and like that's hilarious. We're also all friends, but it's also that like be fucking just yourself or funny or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Does
it
he-
doesn't
does
hurt
he
to
do that?
message
Really?
people.
I didn't
Talk
know
to
he
me
did
like a
that.
real person.
Yeah, he does. It's hilarious. Actually, I'll find one and read it, because it was the last one he sent me was fucking great. And then I felt bad because I was out of town that night and I couldn't even go. And I
Oh,
was
man.
like, oh, dude, like
Oh,
I don't
no.
want to say
Well,
no to this.
I
Like,
was-
Maybe
it was just so
hey,
funny.
I'm
It was-
gonna say this right now. You might want to cut this out. What I'm about to say. But
Okay, hang on.
He-
Cut.
cut. Yeah, cut. He always complains about that. He always complains about how I don't want to have this conversation. Just tell me if you want to sell me a ticket.
right.
I didn't know
Oh,
he
yeah,
did that.
for sure.
But I didn't know he
Yeah, but-
did that.
I don't mind it for coming from Dan, because
I mean,
I don't
you guys
mind it
are
with
buddies, so, like, I
friends.
get it.
I don't mind it with friends. I don't know if he does that with other people. I like doing it with friends. It's when I'm kind of acquaintances with somebody and then they're beating around the bush, and
That's
it's like,
true.
just fucking
Yeah,
ask me,
yeah.
man. Like,
That is
you know,
true. I
that's
guess.
Funny.
Yeah,
well,
that-
and
that
like
does make
Jonah
sense.
said something to me which reinforced the whole like it might not hurt to ask your friends, because Jonah was like, I actually had no idea that you were fucking playing a show. Like he just didn't see. He's like, I probably saw a picture on Instagram but didn't read the description. But he's like, I definitely want to come. So that's why it
Right.
doesn't hurt to fucking.
That's true.
You know,
that does happen to
do
me.
that
Honestly,
shit.
I'm gonna
Alright.
change the topic because we're right around an hour or so on our chat. So I want to talk about Sneaker Club, and I want to talk about DIY Family Band, man. So John,
Yeah.
John is a great guitar player, and Sneaker Club's a great
Oh man,
band.
I really
so
appreciate that.
what do you guys? I mean, we've talked about this on a lot of the podcasts so far. Everyone's kind of stagnant right now, and if you're sitting on stuff, then you're kind of in this position of advantage.
For
But
sure.
if you don't have anything going on, you also kind of have this position of advantage where you can kind of come up with new stuff
Exactly.
while you're on your break. So what's Sneaker Club up to? What's going on?
So right now, we're kind of sitting on some work that we have. We recently, a few months ago, started off recording an EP. So we really thought long and hard about what songs we want to have on the EP. We wanted it to we wanted it to tell a story, and we really wanted it to be our best, and because and so we decided we didn't want to have this be a bedroom recorded thing.
Right.
We got an awesome opportunity to go to Noble Street in Toronto, and we recorded all our bed tracks for our EP there, and then the next day we stayed in an Airbnb, and then the next day went to Hamilton to Catherine North to record all our guitars. And
Wow. So you went to multiple studios.
we went to a couple studios, yep, and did some overdubby like vocals and stuff at our own home studios. But yeah, we're really fortunate. Again, I have to give a shout out to Brandon Eady for helping us out, and giving us this relationship that we have with Valley and Rob specifically. Rob's just we thought about asking him if he wanted to help out on the EP, because he'd been really interested in us, and he always talks about us, and he really enjoys hanging out with us and our band and everything we do. And
Nice.
he was over the moon actually that to be helping on this project. And so having him there, like having a guy that's done it, and he's just he was just a pleasure to work with, like just a great guy with some great ideas. And he, especially when we were recording, it's a long day. I think Brian had the flu when we were at Noble Street the first day.
That's topical. So
And
you
he was
gotta watch
playing-
out when you say
yeah.
you're sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was playing drums. So that the first day we were doing drums, obviously, and then as it was getting to the end of the day, he was like fading, and you could see it. And so, but Rob kept the energy up. Rob was in the control room dancing, like when Brian was giving it his all, like he was really getting him back into it. And I think it really shows on the recording.
Nice.
Yeah, but he was
That's
just a great
awesome.
guy to have around. And when we were doing guitars, because I think Dan kind of had a better relationship with him, because he had been doing most of the talking between the band and him.
Right.
And but when it came to doing guitars, we went to Catherine North, and I'll give another shout out to a buddy from school, Aiden Robson, who he's actually working at Catherine North now, and he got us that opportunity there. But he was
got a
another
job.
pleasure to work with. And we just had all the, like, he was showing us around the studio, and I know the history of it. Like, I know that Glory Sun's been there, Big Rec's been there. Like, some of my favorite bands have been in that same room. And they
It's gotta
have
be a
this
cool
room
experience.
just with amps, like galore, like vintage amps. And so when it came to doing guitars, I was just giddy, right? Like I went in there was, I think it was a 77 Marshall JMP Plexi, 100 watt through a 412. And that was my sound. When you hear it, when it comes out, my rhythm sound is that amp on 10. Everything is on 10.
And you're just smiling ear to ear.
With my Les Paul, absolutely, with my Les Paul cranked. And
Yeah.
that experience for me, I'll never get that again. I mean, I'm sure I will get that again, but that
will.
was, I will.
As soon as you come back
I
over to
will.
my house, I've got all that shit here.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah. But that was just, it was so awesome, man. Just having that thing like dimed and seeing everybody's reaction. And
Hell
Rob was right in there on the floor, like with the pedals, like changing knobs, and he was really feeling it, especially when it came to doing solos and overdubs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I'm really
So what you're
excited.
saying is that you've got music on the way
We have music
during
on
this
the way.
quarantine. Nice.
We
Hell
do
yeah.
have music
So
on the way. We just
you heard
released
it here, folks.
We just released one of the singles that will be on the EP, Where We Land. It's actually doing really well. We're super stoked with that one. That one we did at EMAC with another shout out here, Matt Grady. Just beautiful man. None more to say there.
Sure
He's
is.
just beautiful man. Such a good time working with him in the studio, and yeah, really stoked about that tune.
Hell yeah.
All
All right, well, I hate to cut you off because I mean, we're gonna keep talking. After all these podcasts, we wind up talking for another like 2 hours, and like an hour beforehand, right?
Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, we're hovering quite a bit over an hour, and we try to keep it kind of concise. So I mean,
sure.
I've given my video recommendation, but I'd like to hear your audio recommendation and your video recommendation. So some albums or something like that, or some Netflix recommendations from you.
Well, this is gonna shock a lot of people. I'm not really a big Netflix guy. My girlfriend complains
That's cool.
about it
That's
because I
fine.
never want to watch movies or TV.
Really?
I
feel you,
all my
buddy.
buddies at my house got really into Ozark, and they were watching that
And
like
we got
all
Ozark.
the time.
We've
And
we've
I'm
got
in
the
my
Ozark
room,
recommendation so far.
while this is going on, I'm in my room playing guitar. Because what else do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I do. As I watch videos on gear and I play guitar. It's an addiction. But
It's a good addiction.
what have
you
I
could be
been-
addicted to worse
It's a good
stuff.
one to have. I
Oh.
know of very, very worse ones that you can have.
for sure. I did recently watch a documentary on the Stones on Amazon Prime. I don't remember what it was called, but if you just look up the Rolling Stones, watch any of them. Actually, it was on Keith Richards specifically.
Under the Influence.
It wasn't that. I have seen that. but-
Really?
yeah.
'Cause that's an excellent movie.
This one, he's not really in it. I mean, they kind of just talk about what he's done, but man, that guy's a wizard. And I another thing you should listen to is those old Stones records. Listen to
For sure.
I can't even remember any of the names. Of them right
Exile is a
Yes.
crucial one.
now. Oh,
But I mean,
man.
if you,
Exile
I
from
actually,
Ace-
I have,
that's-
I have an original press of the Rolling Stones' greatest hits, 1964 to 1970. I'm pretty sure.
Is that the one with all their
It's-
heads on it?
It's got all the good ones. Man.
Yeah,
it's got
I-
all the good ones.
I
And
have
that's
that
gonna be
too.
my recommendation at the very least.
That's a
I'd
great
say.
album.
Oh man.
Man, and I was just listening, like the past couple of days, I've been listening to Frampton Comes Alive, because that's just the greatest live
Hell yeah.
album ever.
Every record owner needs to have that. I think we were talking about that before
Yeah.
the podcast.
Every record owner. I've never listened to every
everyone-
song, but everyone needs
I've
it.
listened to like maybe 2 songs off of that. I saw Frampton live, so I don't give a fuck. I've seen
That's
Frampton
cool.
come alive.
That's
I don't
really
need
cool.
to listen to it.
I've seen him
And,
come alive.
But every record owner needs to own a copy of Frampton Comes Alive. I have one, and I'm probably gonna gift it to my roommate Bob because he's a huge record aficionado.
I don't think I actually
uh,
have it. I don't think I have Frampton.
Well,
Comes
you know
Alive.
what? Maybe you'll get it. I feel like you're gonna listen to it before.
I
Bob does,
100%
so.
will. Oh man,
Yeah.
I would appreciate it. What else have I been
those are
listening to? I've been listening to BB King a lot.
Yes.
Um,
Oh,
if
this
you listen
guy.
to what is that? Live at the Regal. Listen to BB King live at
Yes.
the Regal.
That's the one
'Cause
that
that
I
is-
own.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
life changing. Life changing.
Fact. See, you know, Caleb, you could learn a thing or two from this young man.
Dude,
I know.
honestly,
I sound
actually
like a
wanted to-
65-year-old man, but I'm actually
We
I'm
could talk
actually
about this.
21.
We could talk about it after, but like I do want to talk because I've been like playing like lots of Kiss stuff, and I want to play like more
Yes.
blues riff shit. So
Yeah,
I do want to pick your brain about that.
As
after.
soon as this
Of
quarantine's
course.
done, I'm gonna teach you every blues like I know.
Good. Okay. Good.
John taught me some of them.
I taught you a couple of them. I taught you
Um,
the Stevie ones.
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood. Listen to that.
Yeah.
Tell
my,
me,
all
tell
my
me that you
recommendations
don't.
are already out there. all
That
of my
that
recommendations
okay.
are done. So, Caleb, what are your recommendations for the evening?
Okay. These fucking AirPod things are dying, so I'm gonna have to switch to speaker here. But
so
Okay,
don't
no
buy
problem.
AirPods. That's his recommendation.
that's not my recommendation though. So I didn't know what to recommend. So if this is a good kind of default recommendation because they're one of my favorite bands. They're like a kind of a local band. They're from Stratford, and they're called Plants. And
Hell
if you haven't
yeah.
ever seen
Oh
Plants,
yeah.
if you've seen us play in the last fucking 2 years, you've probably fucking seen Plants play because we played a lot of shows with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're the fucking best. You know, there was a thing when we were starting to play music where we were like, man, we just need to find like that band that's like our band, you know, that we can
Yeah,
just be
dude.
fucking friends with.
Absolutely.
And we randomly got a show with them. We didn't even set it up, and we were like, these guys fucking rip. And then we became friends with them. And I'm actually on their Spotify right now, and I think that they deleted their very first EP off of Spotify.
Never do
but it
that,
was
by the way, people.
It was a bit of a different sound. They were trying to do like a Linkin Park thing, which is not at all what they sound like.
no, they're very
so from what
stonery.
I can tell,
Yeah.
they have an EP that they put out a couple years ago. That's called "What You Forgot," and it's fucking so good. And it literally has one of like the coolest fucking like hard rock riffs ever in a song called "Impaler." It like that song, every piece of it rips. And then they put out a live session in September. It's 4 songs. Actually, it's 3 songs and an interlude. And even the interlude rips. Like just the interlude is fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
So go listen to my boys in Plants. I don't feel like they get enough love, and they're fucking so good. And yeah, I love those guys so much. So listen to the music, and it's like fucking 8 songs you gotta listen to with the 2 EPs. So it's not even that much.
Yeah.
Like 30
Do it.
minutes of music.
I'm gonna do it.
But dude, that Impaler riff, man, it fucks so hard. Like there are fewer things that fuck harder than that riff.
That's awesome.
So,
Hell yeah.
So that's my recommendation.
Well, so I just want to say I only just looked. I've been keeping an eye on the time. Not that, I mean, I knew that this podcast was going to be a long one because I could talk with both of you guys for hours and hours. I have.
I feel the same,
You know,
man.
I've actually robbed more whiskey from both of you than I have from my own father. So we'll all say
right.
goodbye
Well, we'll say
off
goodbye and
screen
we'll
because we're getting pretty long. I know Caleb has been trying to find his way to navigate towards this, but I'm going to say please like, subscribe, ring that bell because this is a great podcast and we're trying to get all those people to watch. So please subscribe, watch this podcast.
Yee.
Please. Fuck yeah. All right, cool. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll fucking see you next time.
Peace.
Later, guys.